Welcome back to The Deep Dive, where we follow the fault lines beneath the world's most provocative fiction. Today, we step into Book 2 of Shadows in the Wind, Aurora Inter Tenebras, by author Rob Stein. If the first book was about shadows forming, this one is about the first painful glimmers of light, where we meet Julie Capriot and Jamie Soper at Oxford, and the moment when William Braithwaite begins to realize that brilliance can be both a gift and a curse. From Oxford corridors to the simmering tensions of a changing world, this is the chapter where love and loyalties strain, ambitions shift, and the consequences of genius begin to sharpen. Join us as we peel back the layers of an enthralling story that refuses to sit quietly in the dark.
Welcome back to The Deep Dive. Today we are getting into a novel that's, well, it's more than just a story. We're looking at Rob Stein's Shadows in the Wind, Book 2.
Yeah, this one is. It's a huge philosophical exercise disguised as an adventure.
Exactly. And it's really charting these two incredibly different life paths, all set against the backdrop of, these massive global power structures.
It's a fantastic setup. I mean, the novel just throws you right in. You're in Oxford, this hyper-intellectual world, and we meet our main guy, Jamie Soper.
And his whole future is basically planned out for him, meticulously.
Completely. But the entire course of his life, and really the whole book, gets kicked off by one single conversation he has with Julie Capriot. And that conversation sets up the novel's central conflict.
A conflict framed through biology, which I find fascinating. She brings up our two closest relatives, chimpanzees and bonobos.
Right. You have the chimps, whose societies are all about aggression, hierarchy, dominance.
Classic power structure.
And then you have the bonobos, who build their societies on empathy, on cooperation, on bonding.
So the novel takes that biological idea and basically uses it as a test. Are we all just wired for the chimp path, the power-focused one?
Or can we actually choose something different? Can we choose the bonobo path, the one based on connection? And I think that's the mission of this deep dive, really, to map out how Stein uses Jamie and Julie to explore that choice.
Okay, so let's start at Oxford because that's the intellectual pressure cooker where this all begins.
It is. And Julie's worldview, her fierce hope, and her focus on these peaceful bonobo societies, it's a direct challenge to Jamie's whole life, a life that's been, pre-packaged by his very corporate-minded father.
Jamie is supposed to follow the path of established power. No questions asked.
And the novel is so good at showing that his resistance isn't some big, sudden rebellion. It's subtle. There's this one moment where he's alone listening to Vivaldi's Summer.
That piece is so intense. It's beautiful, but there's a storm brewing in it.
Exactly. The book says he feels truly present for the first time in years. And he has this realization that the goal set for him wasn't just narrow. It was, spiritually empty.
And the novel hints that changing isn't about just abandoning the goal entirely, but expanding it. He knows success defined by power isn't enough, but he's not quite ready to jump off that track.
That hesitation is the key. That's where the split with Julie really begins. It's what makes their relationship so compelling.
And so tragic in a way.
Yeah. And that hesitation, it leads them to separate, not just ideologically, but physically. Jamie takes the pragmatic route. He gets an internship at a huge corporate consultancy, Cronbro Risk.
Like the world of sleek glass towers. He's drawn to it.
He is. It's a world where the rules of dominance are clear and, frankly, rewarded.
Meanwhile, Julie goes all in on the bonobo model. She sticks with her PhD research and starts planning her field work deep in the Congo.
As far from corporate influence as you can get. And then the novel uses this just heartbreakingly perfect metaphor to show how far apart they're drifting. Their letters.
The letters. They really do tell the whole story, don't they?
Jamie's writing becomes analytical, ambitious. It's filled with the jargon of efficiency, of risk management. It's the language of the chimp.
Pragmatic. All about status.
And Julie sees it happening. She notes their conversations are suddenly filled with polite gaps where understanding had once flowed freely.
Wow. That's a powerful line. They're not even fighting. They're just
speaking different languages, living in separate worlds. The novel says they are two people who once shared a single path, now inhabit separate worlds.
And what I think is so brilliant is that the book never makes Jamie into a simple villain. His choice is the default one, right? It's the one that makes more money. It's the socially acceptable path.
Absolutely. It forces you, the listener, to admit that in our world, the pragmatic dominance path gets rewarded, and quickly. Julie's path of empathy, that demands sacrifice. It demands time.
Which is the perfect pivot to the philosophical heart of this book, the idea of tactical empathy.
Yes. This is Julie's core thesis. Her PhD isn't just about watching primates. It's a radical reinterpretation of evolution.
So what is tactical empathy?
The idea is that compassion and cooperation, they aren't just, moral luxuries. They're not soft skills. They are a functional, critical survival strategy, a kind of social currency.
Okay, let's slow down here. Why tactical? Because a chimp model aggression, dominance, it seems like it would secure resources much faster. So why would evolution favor collaboration?
That's the nuance, right? The tactical advantage is about sustainability. It's about reducing the cost of internal conflict.
I see.
The dominance model, it requires a constant investment of energy. You're always maintaining status, fighting off rivals. It's exhausting. It's expensive.
Whereas the bonobo model, through cooperation and bonding,
it minimizes all that internal strife. It directs that saved energy toward group survival, which makes the whole community more resilient in the long term. So Julie's arguing that empathy is actually a competitive advantage.
but pursuing that truth comes with a massive risk, which is why she needs a mentor. She goes to Professor Basil May.
An expert in primatology. But he's reluctant at first. He's carrying a ton of grief.
And he gives her this really chilling warning. He says, "Some truths change you forever."
And we find out why. His grief comes from two places. First, the death of his wife, Eleanor. She had the exact same theory about empathy's role in evolution.
Wow.
And second, he lost a former student who was doing field work during the Congolese Civil War. Just disappeared.
So his fear for Julie is completely justified. He's seen what can happen when this philosophy meets the real world.
Right, and his office is described as this monument to his failure to protect the people he cared about. There's a silver-framed photo of Eleanor, a constant reminder of the personal cost of this work.
And the locked journal.
The locked journal, yeah. It symbolizes all this dangerous, unpublished knowledge he's trying to contain. He knows this idea of tactical empathy is a threat to the existing power structure, and he's terrified for Julie.
But her conviction, her passion, it breaks through his defenses.
It does. They end up forming this shared philosophical covenant. They both truly believe that empathy is evolutionarily advantageous.
And he passes the torch.
In these beautiful, symbolic ways, he gives her Eleanor's Rwandan field notes, the physical knowledge, and then he gives her a smooth river stone.
A symbol of the research itself, weathering the current.
Exactly. The legacy is passing from Eleanor, through him, to Julie. The knowledge has to be carried forward, no matter what the price is.
And that price brings us to the third act. This is where the novel's genius really shines. It takes this beautiful theory and just smashes it against the most brutal human realities.
Right. Julie is now in the Congo, at the Bongo Kosha Bonobo Sanctuary. It was founded by a Dr. Kayembe. And she has completely assimilated. The book says she moves with silent ease, her body instinctively navigating the forest. She is fully committed.
She's living the bonobo path.
Mm-hmm.
But this fragile Eden, it's under threat.
It's under threat from the very chimp model that Jamie embraced. We meet these government officials, Minister Mbonte and a Mr. Kalenga from the Ministry of Mines.
And they're not there for conservation.
Not at all. Their real interest is the significant coltan deposits that are buried right under the sanctuary.
The irony is just staggering. Coltan. The mineral that's in all of our phones, our laptops, the thing that powers our global connectivity.
Is the very thing that's going to destroy this community that holds a blueprint for peaceful connection.
It's a clash of scale. Dr. Kayembe has his paper protections, a presidential decree he worked decades to get.
But that's nothing. It's worthless when you're up against the political will and mineral wealth that's driving this. The novel just perfectly contrasts the time it takes to build an empathetic society with the sheer speed of global resource extraction.
And Julie sees it coming. She gives her dissertation presentation to the sanctuary staff, and she basically lays it all out. She argues that our global systems, built on dominance and extraction, are the chimp model.
And that if we keep going down this path, we're headed for self-destruction. It's her final, urgent warning.
And then everything just collapses. So fast.
Devastatingly fast. Back in Oxford, her intellectual anchor, Basil May, dies suddenly, mid-sentence.
Leaving his final thought hanging in the air. Knowledge without courage is merely information.
It's the last thing he imparts. And at almost the exact same time, the sanctuary is invaded. Colonel Masongo leads a military unit in.
And the excuse they use is just so cynical. Redesignation for resource development.
The violence is immediate, it's personal, they kill one of the staff, Emile, right away, and then Matondo, another staff member, sacrifices himself trying to protect Julie. It's this final, heartbreaking act of cooperation in the face of the chimp model's brutality.
And they don't just take the land. They destroy the idea.
They destroy it symbolically. They burn the library, all that accumulated knowledge, gone. Then they tear down the fence.
The physical boundary that kept the community safe.
Right, scattering the bonobos in a panic into the jungle. They systematically dismantled the entire philosophy.
And the final image is what makes Staines such a genius. Julie is tied up, helpless, watching all of this.
The whole world she built is burning. But then Malia, the matriarch of the bonobo community, she pauses at the edge of the forest before she flees.
And their eyes meet?
Their eyes meet. The book calls it a primate-to-primate shared understanding of the atrocity. And that's it. The beautiful theory of tactical empathy has just been crushed by the weight of human greed.
It forces you to see that. While the bonobo path might be better long-term, the dominance model is terrifyingly efficient at short-term destruction.
So what are we left with? The genius of this novel is that it uses this scientific contrast, chimps versus bonobos, to ask this huge question about us, about human nature. Is our capacity for aggression and extraction just fixed?
Or can we make that conscious, really costly choice for tactical empathy?
And the novel's answer is, it's devastating. But maybe not entirely hopeless. Julie is left bound, she's seen everything destroyed, but she still has Eleanor's notes, she has Basil's last words in her head.
The buildings are gone, but the knowledge, the covenant that remains.
It does, it remains.
Which brings us back to our own world. I mean, if the novel is right, if empathy really is an evolutionarily successful strategy for survival, what does it say about our species that the systems we build, like the global supply chain for coltan, are designed to reward the exact opposite?
They reward immediate dominance, short-term extraction.
It goes right back to Basil May's final unfinished thought. Bongo Kosh burned because the people with the knowledge, they didn't have the power to protect it.
So the novel really leaves you with that question. How do you cultivate courage to go along with your knowledge? And what are you personally willing to risk to protect a truth that challenges the way things are?
A question left hanging in the smoke. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into a truly powerful novel.